Hi, I've been trying out the Orbi RBK863s from Netgear here for a while, and in all honesty, if you want one of the more stable Wi-Fi 6 solutions out there, it's not a bad alternative. The only real problem here though is that neither are its much cheaper siblings. So the RBK863s is firstly a package in the RBK860 series containing one router and two satellites. From here on I'm just gonna refer to it as RBK860 or just simply 860. Underneath the 860 we also have the RBK850 and the RBK750. All of them are Wi-Fi 6 mesh router packages, whereas the 850 has a few more antennas, a somewhat faster system chip, and a 2.5 gigabit internet port in comparison to the 1 gigabit port on the 750. The 860 that I've tested here is basically the same as the 850, but with the addition of a 10 gigabit internet port, and according to Netgear, 20% faster performance, whatever that means. Bottom line is so that the Netgear Orbi series here are fantastic in terms of stability and speed. They're also easy to set up and use. The app interface is fine but lacks any advanced settings. The web interface is also fine, has a little bit more settings but looks like it was made 20 years ago. Regardless, all these routers in my experience actually worked and also looks kind of great. The only real issue here is the pricing in combination with the added functionality. So if you got an internet connection of 1 gigabit, there is actually no need to buy any other packages rather than the 753, which sells for about $500 and also gets you the one router and two satellites package. If you got a 2.5 gigabit internet connection, then maybe instead go for the $800 853 to have the possibility to use all the speed, but do know that the actual speeds through the router will, as far as my brain can think and count, most likely never exceed basically the 1 gigabit mark to any connected device. Something that is due to the fact that the router has 3 separate channels or network channels that it transfers on. 2 of these are 5 GHz channels with a theoretical top speed of 2400 megabits per second each. However, since one of these 2 are used for the connection between the router and the satellites and thus have to hog half of the available channels of the 5 GHz frequency, we are then left with basically half the capacity on both of the 5 GHz bands, so basically 1200 megabits per second on each channel. The other channel is a normal 2.4 GHz one with a top speed of 1200 megabits per second, so you basically get the same speed regardless of wireless connection technique. And these same limitations also apply to the $1,100 863, again the one I've tested here. And the other issue with this one is that since all the other ports on the back of both the satellites as well as the router are 1 gigabit ports, the absolute maximum you will ever be able to get out of each connected device is about 1 gigabit per second of connection speed. And since we only have 4 1 gigabit ports to work with and 2 networks of roughly 1 gigabit each, we can reach a theoretical total of roughly 6 gigabit of speed. However, to pay an additional $300 for a 10 gigabit port that can never really be used to its full capacity, not even to one connected device, feels, well, not really worth it. I don't have a 10 gigabit connection, but if I did, I would definitely want to be able to actually push through 10 gigabit to at least one connected device if needed. So yeah, in terms of cost worthiness, the Netgear 860 series is not as an attractive option as its younger siblings. They do all work really well, but unless you have an extremely specific need for the limited 10 gigabit port, I would advise to go with any of the cheaper models instead. Alright, and that is basically my 2 cents on the Netgear RBK863s. And also the S at the end here means that Netgear includes 1 year of their Armor service for protecting the network, something that I actually thought could have been free this time considering the price of the 860. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please share any thoughts and questions in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Have a nice day. Bye!